Okay, so hopefully this will get me what I want and to get me the people in that I want. So tonight, let's see if people jump back on here. Tonight is going to be an interesting night. And I say that because tonight I decided to do question and answer. And let me have this quick introduction. I act like people know who I am and know what I got going on. I do not like this angle of the camera. Comments will appear here. Okay, so there's one person on. I am trying to now send messages to all of my people. I'm telling them to come on in 5 minutes. And so that is just a bad angle. I am really trying to do this a different way. Add viewers to be in the broadcast. That needs to go to this particular person. This has been the most complicated process I think I've ever experienced in my life. I like Be Live, but it will not allow me. It will not allow me to bring people in unless you're already, like, everybody has to be on at the same time. And that for me doesn't work because sometimes I want to just come on, chit chat with you for a second and go from there. And it will not allow me. And maybe I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying my best. And I know there she is. So I'm inviting her. And then it's funny because I have a couple of people coming on tonight that I am truly, when I tell you I'm excited about, I am super excited about. One of the reasons I'm excited is because it's going to give you a true look into what I do, how I do what I do, and some of the lives that I've impacted. And so that's super important to me. At this moment, I think my husband is on, I should see. So I let somebody borrow a very important tool of mine called the joystick, created by a friend of mine. And I let them borrow it yesterday for dance. And normally I would have been able to have this right in front of my face with no problem. Now I got to hold it because they actually got my joystick stolen yesterday on the train. See, all I got to do is I understand that things happen. They're probably going to see this and go, oh my God. But I wasn't expecting the need to hold this. Yeah. See, my husband's like, yep. See, so now I have to get a new joystick, which I wasn't planning on totally doing today or tomorrow, but I have to because see, even now I'm holding this camera because I did not know that it would not allow me to use my computer to invite people in. Oh, that's interesting. So it gives me a little more light. Oh, Facebook is trying to do something. So tonight we're just gonna have some fun. So I am Dr. Torri J. Evans-Barton, founder and CEO of the Fatherless Generation Foundation. I've done all of that conversation before. I don't have a tripod, Lily, because I bought this amazing contraption called the joystick that has all these different angles, right? And so I let go of all tripods and everything else that we had in the household because joystick allows you to clamp your phone, your iPad, and everything to it where you don't have to do that anymore. I mean, you can have multiple phones on this thing, an iPad, and everything on it. And so that's what happens when we're going to just leave it there. But tonight I am doing question and answer. And then I'm also bringing on some special guests. Those guests are individuals that we've worked with, everyone from a single mom to one of the dads that we've reunited with his children. And this is going to be complicated because I got to figure out, Lily said, mind blown. Yeah, mind is blown. Look it up. It's Joistick. It's an amazing contraption. Her name is Joy, and that just worked out for her. But I have a couple of people coming on who I know are going to be impactful for you tonight. I need to make sure that I stay focused on when the first person comes on. My first guest is she's a single mom that, how do I put this? She tried me, y'all. She tried me. And when I say tried me, what I really mean, she came for me, and I don't want to give too much away before she gets on, but she came for me in the worst way. And I think that's her initial impression of me is the initial impression most single moms get until you actually get in and you get to know me. And so I'm super excited when she gets on here. Let me see. I'm going to hit her up. Can you come on now? So hopefully she can come on and link on to this. I know I also have, like I said, one of the dads that we've worked with. His story is interesting. And I don't want to create this scenario or this idea that we have perfection going on. I will say we have about an 85 to 86% success rate. And so there are things that happen even in the midst of reuniting individuals with their children. And then you also have Daniela, who we located her father. And so she's going to come on tonight just because she's like, but how do I do it? See, this is what's, pray for us, Lord. As we are trying to work out the kinks as we move forward with doing this type of video all the time. I want to make sure I do this every Tuesday. Oops. Hey, Daniela. See, Daniela's already in because she's friends with me on Facebook. So, Daniela, I'm going to bring you in shortly. I'm trying to get Constance on. Let me see. Click the link and join. That's what she does. She joins the Facebook Live. See? Now, what's funny to me is when you're reuniting people with their fathers, or fathers, as people say, with their children, what really takes place is there's a lot of emotional stuff that goes on. And as I'm trying to get Constance on here, there's a lot of misunderstanding, not because it's not explained, not because it's not available to be explained, but because there are perceptions that are in the world. People automatically blow up and be ready to just go off. And that's what happens a lot when single moms find out who I am. I want to be honest and candid and transparent on these posts because there have been times when people have heard me speak on different TV shows and radio shows, and they've wanted to invite me on to be keynotes at different events. And most of the time, those events can be at homeless shelters. They can be at different women empowerment events. But then they realize how women feel about me, and they tell me, well, no, I don't think it's going to work. And I've always wondered, why do you feel that way? Because I will tell you the truth about how you are doing things that aren't productive to your children. And so that has always been, I won't say hurtful, but it's always been an eye-opener for me, that immediately it's an issue because I reunite fathers with their children. And so you automatically jump to an assumption. And there are posts that I put out there that are about both. I am not trying to be biased. I know people see it that way. Oh, she's saying she sees the video, but it won't let her join. Let me see. I want to see what is her name. We tried all of this on Be Live, but then it didn't allow us to do what we needed to do. because I couldn't come on until the other person was available. So I'm going to go Constance, because that's her name. But I need to know what her name is on Facebook. If that's really her name. See, nope, that's not what's coming up. I tell you what, today is not going to be so challenging. And maybe it only allows me to. Daniela, you might be up first, girlfriend. You might be up first. Oh, there it is. Okay, hold on. Let me see what she says. Let me see if I can find this. This is a serious name. And I don't know. So you guys are going to have to eventually help me with this. And I probably need some, I need some backup. When I get down to with my husband next week, he's going to be my backup. He's going to be my, what do they call it? Your AV person. He's going to be the one to help me work things out. Now, I guess I got to request her. This is going to be a problem, y'all. Now I got to request her as a friend to get her onto the portal, to get her on to do the interview. Okay, let me see. There she is. Add as a friend. I really want to talk to her because I think you guys need to know how important and just how traumatic our relationship started out. And I want you to see her face. And because I'm going to give the backstory while she's logging on. So this is what happened with Constance and I. It's my season of no, like the tripod person. I know, babe. I know. And he got it yesterday morning. I would see him today or tomorrow morning, and he would bring it back to me, right? So I thought nothing of it. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. That's not, and it's not even a tripod. You know how much I love my joystick? I love my joystick. It's an amazing contraption. So anyway, Constance and I started out because I had worked with the father of her youngest child. Now, we're going to tell this story. Constance is a mom of 5 children, 5 baby daddies, and she's been through a lot in life. And the father reached out to me, the youngest child's father reached out to me, and we worked with him to get him joint custody with visitation. I didn't think it was a good idea to have them both on, just because, you know, they work it out, they joint custody stuff, but they still don't necessarily like each other. So I didn't want to do that. And so when I did that, okay, she accepted my friendship. So when we did that, there she is. We're adding her. Yay! I did that process. Someone saw his picture with the baby on Instagram. Well, when a dad has joint legal custody, he has the right to make the decisions that he wants to make with the child when the child's in his custody. And the child was in his custody. He brought the child on. There was a couple of pictures taken. I posted the picture.
Oh, I did it. I did it.
I'm telling our backstory, Constance. I'm telling how you saw the picture.
I'm at work.
Whatever. I said, I told them you're a CNA. So I told them how, you know, you one of your friends or somebody saw the picture on our Instagram. And then before I know it, I got folks coming on the page going nuts.
Yeah.
Then I sent a phone number. Somebody calls me, get on the phone with you, and we are going at Constance, y'all, gave me the business. But whoops, she's gone again. Uh-oh, she's gone again. Hold on. Let's add her back. We don't want to do that. Hey, you're back.
No, I felt attacked. That's what happened.
And why did you feel attacked? You were not ambushed.
I had no clue about
Because he didn't tell you. Yes.
So it was like, wait, I'm getting text messages, I'm getting screenshots. I'm like, oh, so they coming for me?
Yes. And then she calls me, y'all, and she was going in. She was calling me all types of B's and names and stuff. And, after a moment, you're not going to be professional. And I was not. And I think she was shocked by that. I think it threw her for a loop because she thought I was going to be like professional. And there was a couple of moments where we had it. And Constance came for me. She said, I'm pulling up on you, blah, blah, blah. You guys have heard me say that I have a bodyguard. This is the woman who caused me to get a bodyguard. Look at her face.
Very strong.
Whatever. So Constance, after we had that moment, I then sent you a text message and said, look, I hear the hurt. I hear the pain. I don't want to come at you like that. I apologize. You came back and said you apologized. So what has happened? Like, what happened that we're now right here like this? Because
she by Ace and Coon now. I don't know. I think talking. I don't really talk about like my feelings that much or my past, because I'm just not into all that sensitive stuff. Like I'm a very sensitive person, but I'm just not into expressing myself and expressing my feelings. And then, after a while, I calmed down or whatever. I regrouped, thought about it, talked to you about certain things. I don't know. We just became cool after that. Because it was like, now you understand me and the reason why I was so angry.
And I understood you after you talked to me, and I understood it. But one thing I need you to let them know is, even from understanding you, you'll tell me something crazy and I'll be like, what? I checked you. Do I not?
Yeah.
You be like, I'm going to do blah, blah, blah.
Like yesterday?
Oh, yeah.
Working through that.
Because we have to own our part. We have to own how we do what we do and how we've done what we've done. And then Constance will come with some stuff, and I have to woosah on her and breathe and remember the story that she shared with me about her journey. And as she shared that story, it opened up compassion for her, not for her foolishness, but to allow her to vent, but still correct her. How has that, like that shape, I remember the text message you sent me talking about, look at God. So tell me what has transpired?
Well, of course, my baby father situation, well, you see how that is now. You ain't got no calls from him.
I know, from neither one of them. Okay, so this is what they don't know. So there was baby, the youngest baby with, how old is the baby? How old
Caleb,
is he?
He's 1 going on 2.
1 going on 2. And then you had another son who you decided to give primary custody to his father, and hopefully that was going to work out for the best, and that was a very challenging situation.
Still
and
is.
So I got to work with 2 of the fathers of her children, and it was hard. It was very hard for her to let go of either child in a sense, but definitely the one where we gave primary custody. And now you're right, I don't get any calls, even the group text that we worked on, because there are things sometimes we got to put in place to hold folks accountable. And we even had a scare with that child because he was having some emotions about not seeing you as often, and there was some bad communication. Yeah, but, and there was some bad.
For my kids to have their
Go ahead.
I've always thought that was important. I've never taken that away from any of my kids' fathers, ever. Because I knew how it felt. Even though I had a father in the house, it wasn't my biological father. But so I already knew the importance it is to have a father in a child's life. It was just at that moment, I felt as if I was ambushed and I didn't have a clue of like what was going on. Like, hold on, wait a minute. we're not going to do this
Right.
as far as taking a child away from me and taking a child out of my house that, you know, I'm used to always raising my kids and raising them on my own. So,
Right.
you know, it's never been that, oh, that's not important to me or anything like that. It was just at that moment, not knowing what was really going on and what really was happening, I just automatically flipped because I automatically seen custody. And it's like, no, we ain't doing that. If you
And I think a lot of
we're
single
gonna
moms
fight.
feel that way. Yeah, and I think a lot of single moms, like, they get paper in the mail, they get these things in the mail, and they're like, oh, you coming for me? And
polls was knocking in my door.
Right, and so then they automatically are ready to fight over a situation that may not be fight worthy, but because you don't understand it, you know what y'all need to know is fighting is always a thing for her, and I have to pull her back because she's always in a position to fight. And so because of how she was raised, that's the first thing she goes to. And as someone who's just been in her life, you know, Constance one day said to me, I love you. And I was like, I said, well, I love you too, Constance. It was one of those moments where you're like, this is the same girl that was the same girl who was like, I'm pulling up on you at the station. What we need to tell is, y'all, she even called the station. And the producers brought a Post-it note in talking about, who is Constance? And I said, that was from the daddy last week. That ain't even the daddy in here this week. They took it and balled it up. But she was trying to get to me. She was trying to come wreck everything. And it wasn't a thing because everybody was really trying to do the right thing. She just didn't realize that because how it came at her.
I just didn't see it at the moment. Only thing I seen it as was, this is what, you know, he's trying to pull my child away from me. He's trying to take my child away from me.
Yeah.
When, like I said, after I sat down, regrouped, talked to you, then I realized it wasn't as bad. I mean, because you see the situation, because even months after, we still were going at it toe to toe, and to where it landed me in jail at least 2-3 times from that.
Yeah, because you like to fight. That's a whole nother story.
They came for me. But
so
if you
tell
me and him now, totally different. We get along now, but we also had to remove sex out of the equation.
So good one. Come on, Constance.
That also was a big issue, because once we removed sex out the issue, the emotional part left. And once that emotional part left, then it was like, I no longer want to fight. We no longer have a reason to fight because now I'm not emotionally attached to you. So we had to remove that out of the picture.
And who confirmed that, or who told that to you? Somebody said, you know, somebody told you, girl, you need to stop because I know you having sex with him. You too involved. You too attached. Who said that? Yeah, I did. And so that's what I love about it. Sometimes we're with people that we shouldn't be with, and then the sex is, you know, keeping us attached and keeping all the stuff up. And so let me go back to this. So this girl then one day tells me she loves me, y'all. She's like, I love you, Dr. Torri. And I said, I love you too, Constance. And then later on that day, she was like, you know you love me. She's like, you're my mom. She said, you know you love me like I came out of your cooch. That's how she talked to me. I said, well, I don't have no kids, so I don't really know how that feels. And I won't lie. She's intense. She got a lot of stuff that we got to work on. And she kept calling me her mom. And I was like, no, I don't. I was praying. I was like, Lord, I don't know if I want that. So I'm about to reveal something that she didn't know. So I was praying, and I was like, God, I got enough crazy people around me. I really don't know if I want to do this. And one morning I woke up, and the first thing God said to me was text her and say, good morning, my daughter. And that's what I text her. And so there are things that she has to do. This is not just she ain't just getting away with just being, quote unquote, my daughter. And as I told her, we ain't got no inheritance for her. I ain't babysitting. Like, it ain't that situation.
My kids.
But I say all of
them anyway.
You got a lot of kids.
Yeah, I had to pay people to babysit.
She got a lot of kids. So we're developing this new relationship, but I think it's important. And I know y'all sitting on here. I see people just sitting on here. They ain't saying nothing. I saw a couple of likes. Y'all need to be liking and hearting because I know y'all confused. I know they confuse, Constance, because
I,
this is not,
because
people have heard me talk about the person who threatened me. They have heard me mention you, but now you're on here.
Yeah, but I'm so sweet though. Like, I'm such a sweetheart. I'm just very emotional. And I know I had this judge one day tell me, it was a case similar to this, but I was a teenager around the time. And I remember the judge saying to me, because I got up to fight my daughter's grandmother in the courtroom, I didn't care about the sheriff. I told the sheriff, you can get these hands too. So, you know.
That's who she is.
And the judge hurry up, you know, of course they snatched me up real quick before I could get to her. Mm-hmm. And instead of them locking me up, the judge sat me down in the chambers and talked to me. It was like, you wear your emotions on your sleeve. You wear your heart on your sleeve. And you have to learn to stop letting it control you. 20-something years later.
You're still working on that. You're still working on that.
But I've gotten better to where when I feel like it's drama, I step back. Because I'd be like, you know what? I'm not going back to jail. I went about 4 times last year. I ain't trying to go. New year, new everything. So I've learned a lot just talking to Dr. Barton and dealing with her. And then, you know, even certain situations that has nothing to do with my kids or their fathers or whatever, we, you know, still tend to talk about certain things.
She can text me any point. Yep. And that's true. And that is what you get when you're a single mom and you connect with me. It's not all about trying to bombard you, you know, make you think that, oh, look at my husband. You're talking about ride or die. That's my husband on there, Constance. Everybody needs a person like that on their team, the team.
Because you know, it's somebody do something, what's up? Pull up. But somebody got to drive because I always get caught when I drive.
See, now I don't need another bodyguard. I got hurt. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I think it's important for single moms to know, yes, it's going to catch you off guard, but we're not an organization that's against you. We want what's best for the children. And if we can help you in the process, we'll do that. If there's a conversation that you need to have, you need to call and vent.
Yeah, that's the good thing about the program too, is because she worked with both of us. At the time, like I said, I was just angry and felt, you know, ambushed or whatever. But once you think about it, like, she works with both parties. And like she said, it's for the sake of the child, because, you know, one of my baby fathers, once he got those papers saying that he had joint custody and he had physical custody, he was like, no, you can't see him. You can see him when you stop talking to me any kind of way. And it's like, whoa, hold up.
Yeah.
I'm telling them.
And see, and I don't play that either. Because I check those kind of things. If that happens and you text me and say, you know, so-and-so is doing it, and I'll call them and say, hold on.
Oh, I ain't got no.
That's not going to work either. See, you don't have hands anymore. And on that note, I got to get my other girl on. But Constance, I know you at work. You got to tend to your people. So you go back to work.
Watch some old people ass. I just got smacked by one lady. One lady just smacked the crap out of me. You see the whip on my face? She smacked me.
I do.
Yeah,
she's a CNA. Working hard. So
she told me, she said, bitch, stop.
Thank you for doing it. The old lady did?
Yes, and I told her, I said, Grandma, I fight old people. But then I had
no, you don't.
Because she got them hands. So I had to move away from Grandma. Her hands was quick.
See, Grandma is you 50 years later.
Yeah, but her hands is real quick. All right, let me get back to her. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for doing it. All right, bye-bye. I love you too. Bye-bye. See, now come on. Y'all see that? That blows me away. Blows my mind. One of the things that I want to point out that Constance said to you, that I said to her, stop having sex with him. You are caught up, hung up. You got too much going on because you're still having sex with this man, and it's causing way too much emotions. And that's the part that single moms I know need to get it clear. Too often, although y'all broken up, he swing by and y'all still letting it go down. And so then you wonder why you're still emotionally attached. He may have a new girlfriend. He may have a wife, but y'all still somehow come together and decide to have sex. Now, one of the things that I wanted to do was have one of the single dads on that we've worked with, but he is not on Facebook. And now that I've tried to get Constance on, I realize that he cannot come on here tonight. I'm going to have to bring him on another night. He said Facebook is not for him. And so I'll have to bring him on another night. But I do want you guys to hear the journey from a single dad that I've worked with. But we'll bring him on a different night. The other part of the program that we work often is we have individuals who call us, who want to reunite with their fathers. And those individuals, what they do is they go through a similar process, but we do have to locate the dad. And as we locate the dad, I got to figure out how to, I know she's on here. As we locate the dad, what we then have to do is go through another process. Let me see if I click Daniela. Will that let her on? Yep. So we're going to talk to Daniela. So we'll try to get her back on. But we locate the dad, or we go through a process of getting addresses and locating dad. And then from there, we take them through a process of engagement. And so Daniela has gone through that process, and I'm glad I'm able to. I see something at the top here. Let me see. No answer from live video guest. Okay, she's here. Let me see. Daniela, I know you're here for some. Oh, you got to turn. I think you got to turn on your camera, Daniela, because it shows you at the top here. I'm messing up this video. It shows you at the top, but you don't have your camera. Like you had your camera on originally. Now it's off. I don't know what that did. And so what happens when you meet your father? What happens when you meet your biological father that you've never known? Danielle, I'm going to try to see. Add viewers to be in the broadcast. So let's see if I can do it this way. We're going to work things out. Daniela, can you see the button to request to be in the broadcast? If he said turn the phone sideways, I did. Okay. You want me to turn it another sideways? No, it won't let me do that. It says once you have it one way, you can't turn it another way. I did think that. Daniela, I turned on the button that allows you to request to be in the broadcast. Do you see that button? See? I'm gonna figure all of this out. As they say, I'm new to this. And what I want to share tonight is, what is that journey like? Because you guys have heard my story. At least you've heard it to some degree. And maybe one day I'll just come on and share that version all over again. But let me see. I should have brought you on when you first came on, because the camera shows me that you were on and that you had a camera moment. And now it won't let me let you on. Add view. Oh, there she is. Yay! Yes! I think everybody's learning tonight. This is a class. So, backstory on Daniela, because we got 15 minutes. Daniela and I were connected through a mutual friend. That mutual friend introduced us, letting me know that there was one of her friends who was interested in talking to me about a scenario and a situation that she had. And so from there, we got on the phone, and as it says adding her. We got on the phone and we talked about what was going on with her. Daniela, has been a blessing to the organization by talking to NBC News and things like that as we're talking about her story. She was 39, I believe, going on 40 when she found out that the father that she was raised by and raised with, there she is. I've approved her. It says no answer now. That's not real. They'll receive an invite to join. I know you can't see her because for some reason she sent the request. I'm trying to, Daniela, is your camera off on your, are you on your computer? Are you on your phone? Let me know, because it says they'll receive an invite to the broadcast, but then it says no answer from live video guest. And it's still there. That's crazy. You did both. Okay, both are on. Why is it not letting her on? See, one thing I know is some stuff just don't want this conversation to happen. I don't know if the computer is a good thing, just simply because my computer wouldn't even allow me to do it. So I got to be able to multitask. So Daniela is raised by a gentleman who she finds out in the midst of the divorce that that's not her father. And she decides very boldly, without question, that she's going to go find her father. And we went through a series of things, and I had to ask her a few questions and different stuff that came about in order to get her the information. And as we got the information, her mother, I'm going to walk around really quickly because I got to grab something. Her mother finds an old phone number, address, I believe it was. And as she finds that address, we then locate the new address. And once we located the new address, Daniela was off and running to the races. And so I got to get her on here so she can tell her journey. Approve. Come on. It says adding now. It didn't say that she's not there. A minute ago it says she's not there. Come on. We're going to work these things out a little bit better. Yes!
Hey, we got it.
Oh, Be Live, I love because you can put the comments on there, but for some reason it is not working. Like, unless the person is on with you at the time you want to go live, it won't go live. Sometimes you just want to talk and introduce people. So that's what I'm doing while we were getting you on. So I don't know if you heard, but I was introducing you and saying kind of the backstory and how your mother found that previous address on the back of a picture, and then we did the skip trace, and then all of a sudden you were off to the races. So what was that like, Daniela? Give me the rest of that.
It was pretty scary because you're not really sure if you're going to find the right person. Because like you said, I had the address investigator from to the person, the name and the address, who actually ended up being my half brother. And then he's the one that actually connected me to my actual biological father. So.
Right. And then you went from there.
Yeah, we
meeting Dad.
Met 6 weeks after the skip trace, Torri. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, what was that like meeting him for the first time? Because I know, you know, I had my own walk, and then you had yours, and I was like, oh no, I get it.
It's very surreal because, you know, my dad that raised me, who is my adopted dad, you know, that's all I know. So it's like, okay, I'm about to meet this man who's my DNA, my blood. What do you say? You know, do we look alike? Like, you have all these things going through your mind at the same time. And you're like, what do I say? Do I hug the man? Do I say, hi, Dad? What do I call you? You know, like all these things are going through your mind. And it's just like you're in a dream. You're going through the motions, and it doesn't really hit you until everything is said and done and over. And then that's when you kind of have the emotional meltdown of realizing everything that's transpired. You know, you're kind of processing everything in a delayed format.
Yeah. And I think the best part for me when I'm able to reunite adults with their fathers is I've been through it. So I give you some of the steps that are going to happen. I warned you about that fall. Like, everything's high, and then it's like crash. Oh, this dude is not who I need him to be or who I thought he was going to be. And I remember telling you that.
Yes.
And that was I think it was easier for you to accept when it happened because I had kind of warned you of that possibility. Tell me about that, like meeting him and what was good and what was bad or off. That's a better word.
I think the biggest thing is you just don't know what to expect. You know what I mean? It's like, what do you say? You know, because in my situation, I didn't know I was supposed to be looking for a dad. You know what I mean? Because I had a dad. He raised me all my life until womanhood, adulthood. So it's kind of like, okay, now I'm supposed to meet this man that's my dad, and you don't know what to say. And it was very helpful being able to talk to you about the whole situation because you lived it, been there, went through it, and I could actually talk to you and be like, you know, Torri, I don't really know how I feel about this, or what do I say? What do I do? You know, so when we met, you know, he drove to Georgia because my biological dad lives in Virginia. He drove down to Georgia. It wasn't a planned trip. He just got in the car one day and was like, hey, I'm here in Georgia. I want to meet you. And I'm like, so I didn't even have time to prepare mentally, talk to nobody, you know, converse with my tribe, like, you know, this is about to go down. And, you know, I just met him. I met him at the hotel he was staying at. I remember knocking on the door and I was like, hey, you know, how you doing? And that was kind of how it happened, you know. I think I gave him a hug, you know what I mean? It just felt like the right thing to do. And we just kind of sat and talked, you know. He kind of gave me his version of events of kind of the history between my mom and him and what transpired. And, you know, that's kind of how things kind of sparked. And initially in the beginning, we were always talking, you know, every day, texting, phone calls, you know, and then it eventually kind of dissipates and you're kind of, you know, talk every now and then, checking in, how you doing, how are you feeling, you know, that sort of thing. But it's kind of awkward to bridge or build that relationship with someone you don't know or have any history with. And it's kind of hard to find those things. And then I find too, for myself, I always compare him to my dad. You know, my dad raised me. It's kind of like, well, this is my dad, you know, like he's been around since all my life. So it's kind of like, you don't really know how to allow this person to be in your life and figure out what capacity, because I already have a dad. That's not a role I need filled. You know what I mean? So it's definitely very awkward and confusing, and it's challenging. You have your challenges for sure.
Yeah, because I've told the testimony a few times that, you know, after meeting my dad, and he was not Jesus in flesh, you know, as my daddy, you know, I wrote him a letter and was like, I need you to back up. I don't want to talk to you anymore. This isn't it. And I want to say maybe a week or two later, I ended up calling him and re-engaging the relationship. But it is a very different thing, especially as an adult, meeting someone who, number one, they are nowhere near what you wanted them to be or thought they were going to be, like nowhere close. And then you had a dad. And so what's that relationship like with that dad?
So my dad that raised me, we are currently do not have a relationship, not because of this situation, you know, due to some other family circumstances. We are estranged and have been for several years since he divorced my mom. So I don't have a relationship with him at this time. So.
Okay, so what was that like? Because I think that was the moment, because this is what other people need to know as well. So when Daniela was going through these things, yes, as someone who's been through it, I offered her advice, I gave her wisdom, I gave her steps, but I also then gave her a therapist.
Yes, yes.
Because there's too many emotions, especially when you have a new dad. The other dad has stepped out of the picture. She's got a lot of things going on that need to be helped and addressed. And so we were then able to connect her to a therapist who walked out some of those things and gave her tools. How has that helped with bridging the gap between losing a dad and then getting a dad that's not quite what you wanted? And I say that.
I think it's not, I wouldn't say necessarily not what I wanted. It's just more so understanding that, you know, he's just a different person. You know, my dad that raised me is very strong, you know, structured, you know, one way, and then meeting someone who's completely different. So I would just say that they're just different individuals. It's not bad or good. They're just different. You know, and having someone on a clinical, a therapist to actually help you with that process, because there's a lot of information to process, because you know, you're brought up one way, you have family memories one way, you know, you're trying to figure out, you know, where do I come from? Is this still my family? You know, what does this all mean? I've got two dads now. Can I still have two dads? So it's very confusing.
And how is the other dad going to feel about you having a new dad?
Yes.
And the new dad feel about the old dad? Because we take on all of our parents' stuff for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really none of our business how they're going to feel about it. But we think about all of that, and it can be very much so overwhelming.
And I think that that's the key right there, Torri. Like for me, I didn't really, it's not that I didn't care. It just, for me, what was really important is I needed to know where I come from. I always knew growing up, like I knew my dad loved me, my dad that raised me, but I always felt different and I couldn't really put a finger on it. Like you just know something's not right, but you don't know why. And then you kind of hear the family whispers, the family rumors, you know, and then comments are made. Oh, are you really so-and-so's daughter? And I'm like, well, why would you say that? You know, because you don't know any different. And then when you look back, you see that all the signs were technically there that, you were adopted and that wasn't really a family secret, you know. But going back to the therapy component, it really helps you sort out your emotions and feelings, because during my process, not only did I have to, you know, I found out I had a biological dad, I also had two half brothers. And I also found out I have a biological sister that was given up for adoption. So it was a lot of family stuff that was becoming unsurfaced that I don't know if necessarily that was supposed to happen or that was the game plan, but because I'm very persistent and I wanted the information pretty much at all costs.
Yes, you were.
Yes, you were. On top of that, I wanted to know. It was really important for me to know that information. You know what I mean? And, you know, I'm still looking for my biological sister. You know, so that's one part of the journey. But you need someone to help you understand all the different emotions, because it's a lot. It's intense, and it's confusing. It's very confusing. I was upset and angry with my mom for a little while because she wouldn't share the information with me. I felt like she was making it harder for me. And I was able to understand it wasn't that she didn't want to. It's just she was afraid and kind of, you know, it's awkward and you're kind of having to relive a hurtful time period, you know, at that time. And, you know, there were family secrets, you know, finding out at that time my biological dad was abusive, you know what I mean? He was physically abusive to my mom, which, you know, he told me the story. My mom told me the story. So I feel like everything happens the way it's divinely supposed to happen, you know, for that reason. And, you know, I had to tell my mom, I was like, you know, Mom, I'm not here to judge you. I just want to know. That's all I want to know. That's the reason why I'm pursuing this. I need to know. And I think once she kind of understood that there was no judgment, you know, she was a little bit more open to giving me information as best as she could remember, because it was so long ago. Yes. But it didn't mean my mom and I didn't have challenges. I mean, we had to both fight to kind of navigate that relationship, because it was a very painful and hurtful time for my mom. And for me, I'm angry and I'm trying to figure stuff out. And I feel like, you know, at the time you were working against me, you know, not helping me through the process. And that's really what I wanted. I needed my mom to help me go through this process, because I didn't have nobody else to kind of work through everything. So it was very, very challenging. And having a therapist helped me navigate through all of that and be able to get to a place with my mom that we were actually good and she was okay. She actually met my biological dad. They actually talked and kind of, you know, cleared the air, so to speak, a little bit.
Come on.
It kind of came full circle, you know, but it's not an easy journey, though. It's not, you know, something that you can just breeze right through and, you know, not have any hurt feelings or anything with regards to that. So.
And one thing I appreciated about you through the process is you would be on the phone with me and I would say, okay, you're going to have to ask your mom so-and-so and so-and-so. And I would think you were going to hang up and ask, and you'd be like, Mom, hey, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, man. And I could appreciate your determination, because at the end of the day, it's like what you said, you're going to find this father for you and for something that you need. And even being able to interview my own mother on my first, Be Live, my mother had the same experience your mom had. My mother was embarrassed. She didn't want to share too much because it does take them back to a point in their lives where they made some decisions that they weren't comfortable with, so they don't share the information with you right off the cuff. Maybe they lead you to believe things that aren't true because they don't want to revisit those moments.
Yes.
And you have to, as my mother said on her Be Live, you have to tell the truth to your children.
Yes.
Because they're going to figure it out if you don't.
And and you know what, Torri, we need to know the truth. You know what I mean? I think our parents need to understand it's not about judgment. It doesn't change the fact that we don't love you. You're still our mom or our dad. It's just, we need to know that information. That's part of who we are, and that we need to know that, and like with my mom, and from that time period, my mom grew up, in the 50s and 60s. It's a different era where, they got to keep stuff close to the chest. It allowed me to be sympathetic and empathetic with my mom once I was able to work through my anger and my healing process. And, so I got to the point where I wasn't angry with my mom anymore. I actually understood why, and I could appreciate it, and so it allowed us to get to a place of peace with that, situation, with the whole family secrets and everything like that. So.
And that's the thing that I have been pouring out since my mother did the interview. The more you talk to your parents, it's not going to be a place of judgment. It's going to be a place to have compassion and empathy for them, because they're not your parents at that moment that they made that decision. They're a man and a woman who were walking through life very similar to us. Mm-hmm. And so, we have comments on here. Someone said, I went through that same thing, exact same thing. Another person said, I'm so proud of you. Lewis said, thank you to women for your support, because men do see that as support when you are working to help reunite them, no matter the circumstances. I mean, you even talked about how your dad was abusive towards your mother. And when you met with him, he fessed up to that. Mm-hmm. That's got to be uncomfortable for a daughter to hear that I'm reuniting with someone who was abusive towards my mom.
And, he apologized to my mom even all this time. I mean, at the time, he apologized back then when he met with my mom. He apologized again because he was a different person. But, talking to my dad, that's how he grew up. You know what I mean? His family, my grandmother, all abusive, so that's his history. But he did apologize to my mom for that, back then, as far as that's concerned, so.
Yeah. And the other part is we have to be willing. Lily says, that's awesome. Truly evident that the parent may have unresolved issues to work through as well. The truth is we are all people, and especially when we get to adults, I swear to you, we are all working through our childhood trauma. Absolutely. And so as we're working through that, we become adults. We haven't quite worked through it. We make decisions, and then we try to hide those decisions, especially when we have children. Mm-hmm. And when we have children, we hide it, not wanting to be judged by our children, which is so interesting to me that parents are concerned about that. But that's really what it comes down to. They don't want to be judged by their children. They don't want their children to think that this is okay. And so what I love is you one of the reasons I asked you to come on, because I knew you're going to tell it like it is, like you and Constance. Because, I mean, let's just go there. You just heard that testimony.
I did.
And I had told you about this person who called me to get a bodyguard. What in the world? I still do not understand.
But
I still cannot comprehend.
But with her, though, Torri, I think Constance made a very valid point. That's all she knows. That's how she grew up. And like you said, we all have our own personal stories of hurts and traumas and hang-ups. We're just all trying to figure it out. And I think, the approach typically is you have to try to take a step back and approach it from a standpoint of compassion and empathy and sympathy, being sympathetic about the situation, because, we all have a lot of stuff we're trying to figure out, and we're all works in progress, and I think when we try to flip that script a little bit and understand the other person, it makes it a little bit easier to be able to forgive and heal from that situation, and move forward in a healthy way, which it sounds like Constance is on track to do. So
we just got to keep her from putting hands on people.
yes.
Because she said she got hands for the old lady, but the old lady had quicker hands than she did, so she had to go back up. I'm like, I can't with her. And she's a very candid person, and I'm working with that, and I'm just being prayerful. So even as we're on here, y'all keep me prayed up as I'm walking through this journey with Constance, because it's going to be a journey. And I'm sending her to the same therapist, just so you know. I am not doing that work on my own.
Yeah.
So I thank you, Daniela, for coming on.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you telling your story and sharing all of that with us. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Love you. Bye-bye.
Love you too. Bye.
Oops. In the way, I put my fingers in the way anyway. Knowing you personally, this made so many things more clear now. Oh, okay. And that's why I wanted to do it tonight, because I wish I could have gotten that dad on. He's probably waiting, going, what happened? But he is not on Facebook, y'all. And so I'm going to have to do a different one and get him linked on to, I'll just do an interview with him. And I think that will also open the door to a few things. So I'm going to set that up with him next week. We're going to talk to this dad next week. Hopefully he'll be available and we'll share. But that's why I wanted to do it. I think people have truly a misconception of what it is I do and who I really am, that we don't work with mothers, or we get the dads and we don't deal with the moms. We deal with the moms who are available to deal with us and to work with us. We want this situation to be as easy and as friendly and as, kid gloves all day long. Unfortunately, every situation doesn't allow us to use kid gloves. I will tell you guys, you've seen some of the posts that I've put on social media recently. And there was a dad in Baton Rouge, and he hasn't seen his daughter for 2 years because he got a temporary custody order. And in getting that temporary custody order, 2 weeks later, mom whisked the child off to California from Baton Rouge. And as she whisked the child off to California, there's no domestic violence. I have to say that so often, as if every man beats a woman. It's kind of disappointing, but I'm going to say it. There's no domestic violence involved. She's not running to save her life. He pays child support on a regular basis. He is current on his child support as well, just for those who want to find any little thing why she might have ran away. It's like what Constance said. When you're taken off guard and you see this man gaining custody rights of your child and you feel like, it's your child, too often moms say, it's my child. And so when a dad takes away control and the ability to manipulate, mothers tend to get a little upset. And so I want to come in and bring understanding. And that's my plan always, if the door's open. And so this mom did not open the door. And so we did a lot of stuff to get her found, served. She did not show up the first time she was served, and then we served it. We went to the court on you got to have her served 30 days before the court date, but the date that you actually filed, that you served her long arm, as they call it in Baton Rouge, that date doesn't count. So we were 1 day off, although it was 31 days in January. So we were really 30 days. So anyway, it was very confusing. And that's the problem often, is there are a lot of loopholes for dads. And so then we served her again. They tried to fight the process server, saying that she didn't live at that house. But we then also had another private investigator confirm through skip tracing that she did receive mail there, and that was the proper address. So dad went to court last week, Tuesday or Wednesday, and mom didn't show up again, just because she doesn't think anything's going to happen to her. And so the judge actually gave him sole custody of a little girl that we're about to go pick up. Ha! And what I do love about this court is they commended this father, and we'll eventually have him on once he gets his daughter, because I don't like to have people on who haven't finished the process. They pulled him out. They commended him for not giving up in this courtroom. And then before he could leave the building, the clerks came out in the hallway and prayed with him. And so for all of you dads who are concerned and nervous and worried and not sure of what's going on, I need you to know that every courtroom isn't that way. And we're hoping that more and more courtrooms will be like this one that's in East Baton Rouge, where the women celebrated this man and the women and the men came out into the hallway, joined hands and prayed for him as he goes through this journey to obtain his daughter as we go to California to get her. And so there are private eyes and attorneys who are working out there to get those things done. And so that's what we do. We are here fighting for the children, but also working to heal the parents at the same time. And I see Lewis saying in June, it's going to be 3 years since I've seen my older daughters or hear from them. And Lewis, see, that becomes, number one, prayer. Because when you can't find the people that you're looking for, and like I said, we do skip tracing. So you can inbox me. I know you've been on our page and I've seen you kind of comment and watch certain things. So, inbox us on Facebook and let's have the conversation to see how we can possibly help you. I can tell you the dad in Baton Rouge had been through 2 or 3 attorneys and no one could find her, and we found her in 3 days. Can I give a shout out to our private eye, Murph of Solid Solutions? It's Herbert Murphy. He can do skip tracing all over the country. So look up Solid Solutions in Marietta, Georgia. Let him know the Fatherless Generation Foundation sent you. If you do not know where your children and the mother of your children are, call Murph, Herbert Murphy. We call him Murph. And he is a fantastic individual and he helps us get things done. So no, Leslie, I am not an attorney. What I do is I partner fathers and individuals who are looking for their children and wanting joint custody rights. See, this is the dad asking me if I wanted something different. I partner them with attorneys who are a part of what we call our League of Attorneys. Our League of Attorneys really work for us. No low bono, pro bono kind of thing. They do 1 case for us per year. We do our best to refer paying clients to them as they come to us when we're on the Ricky Smiley Morning Show or just from being on that particular website. People do call us and say, you know what, I'm looking for a good father's rights attorney in such and such area. Because we now service, I want to say it's 96 cities, and we have now moved to, we have a location in Atlanta, DC, Miami, St. Louis. Dallas is kind of there. We're looking for some staff, some volunteer help in Dallas. And then Chicago and California will come later on in the summer. So we have put offices in those areas for individuals who need to go into an office, who want to touch somebody, because that's something I've learned. And so I do travel a lot. You guys will see me going from one city to the next. I will be in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Miami area next week for about a week and a half. Number one, I get to go down there and work. Number two, I get to go down there and hang out and sit on the beach. And so I want to just share with you guys and share what we do and share some of the people who've been through this journey with us. I can tell you not everybody wants to come on and not everybody wants their picture posted, because this is not an easy thing to say that you've been through. As Daniela told you, it's not easy. It's not an easy journey, and it's not something that some men aren't necessarily proud. Thank you, Leslie. I can tell you, just keep praying for me, because last week I was stressed out and I was exhausted, and it had taken a toll on my body, and I really had a challenging time recouping and had some health challenges concerning my exhaustion. But I thank you for saying that. Too often I do downplay what I do, and I don't think about it in that way. But in this season, as my pastor said Sunday, you need to stop minimizing and downplaying what it is you do, and know that you are unique and that what you're doing is impacting, and it is building the kingdom. I mean, this is what I do as a ministry, you guys. This is all about what I believe is end time prophecy. And so I believe that it's super important for fathers to be in their children's lives. Not every dad is perfect, but it's the person that you chose, and it's the individual that has now fathered this child with you. And even Daniela saying that her father came in and apologized to her mother. I think you guys need to take that to heart, that sometimes people make bad decisions, but they shouldn't have to pay for it for the rest of their lives. I see Arlister, he said, not my case as far as custody goes, but support caseworker did work some magic and got some act right in the early years. That's a good deal. Daniela said, your pastor is right. I know. I know. Oh, thank you, Naja. What you do is so needed. Fathers often get the short end of the stick. They do. And I'm going to tell you guys, I have to go to DC after I go to Fort Lauderdale, and then I come back and go to Tulsa, Oklahoma. I am a blended family. I don't have children, but my husband has a 22-year-old daughter who is graduating from college. We're going to show you guys some footage concerning that. And I'm going to repost a Periscope that we did a little while ago about being a blended family because I was talking about it earlier today. And then I will have to go to DC for a conversation. But one of the things that I'm going to start pushing in DC that I've learned over the last few weeks that has frustrated me is not every county and not every state has pro se forms online for dads to just fill in the blank. And no, not every dad knows what he's doing, right? But that should at least be available to him so that he doesn't feel like he's failed or like he has to give up because he cannot figure out how to come up with $3,500 to pay an attorney. And to be in a situation where I'm going to different counties or talking to different dads and they're like, no, there's no forms. Like, we are not in the dark ages, people. Like, there can just be forms online for dads to fill out. And sometimes there are counties where those forms are available and you do not need an attorney because the courts get it in some of those counties, just like in Baton Rouge, they understood. And so I just want to tell you guys tonight, I thank you for listening. I thank Daniela and Constance for coming on. It is important to me that you guys are, as you can see, we're a family. I mean, we're to love you, and we mean that. So once you get into the Fatherless Generation Foundation program, we become a big family. Even the dad who's kind of waiting in the wings, wondering what's going on. I may just jump back on here with him. I'm going to see in a moment. But when I asked him if he would do it, and I'm going to end with this. When I asked this dad if he would come on, and I texted him, and he said, I can't tell you no. And then I got on the phone with him and said, I need $1 million. He said, I guess I'm going to have to work on that. That's what happens when you become a part of the Fatherless Generation Foundation family. And so, is there a drive-through? My husband is silly. There's a drive-through, you guys, in where's it? Greenville, South Carolina. They literally have a drive-through for child support and child custody. It's hilarious. I have to post that sign again. And my husband is going to come on and he's going to ask this one question. How do I donate to the Fatherless Generation Foundation? So before he does that, let me tell you, go to our website, www.tfgf.org, and you will see the donate button. Donate. People get caught up in the amount, but I can tell you that this is an organization who has survived off of 10s, 5 10s, 20s, 50s, and 100s. There has never been a huge donation to our organization, but that's just a matter of time. And that's the blessing in what it is that we're doing. This is not about money for me. I wish that we had more so that we could help more dads. Dads do provide a fee. They're provided, they provide some financial help to get their cases done, but I can tell you it's bare minimum. Because I do believe if you don't put into it, you're not going to stay the course to get anything out of it. And so I think that's super important that we make sure that they're involved, even financially. And we do make sure that they're paying their child support. For those who have come on and asked me that question too, that is one of the things they have to turn in during the welcome letter. If they have a child support order, we'd like to see it. And if they don't, that is always included in the packet concerning joint custody. So I am Dr. Torri J. Evans-Barton, founder and CEO of the Fatherless Generation Foundation, and I am so grateful to have built a community and a family called the Fatherless Generation Foundation. I will talk to you guys next Tuesday. I might jump back on with this dad, but I will let you know in just a minute. All right, you guys have a good night. Bye-bye.